name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation, and we use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution, and it's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a pro driver, going from screens to VR, is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
Good evening and welcome to the 8th round of the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries, brought to you in association with MSL Motorsport Consultancy and heatingshop.ie. Welcome to the fantastic, the most iconic circuit known through those that are aware of Herman Tilke, the Shanghai International Circuit, for what's going to be two fantastic races this evening. Alex Goldschmidt and MSL Motorsport Consultancy's Martin Jones will take you through the action as it happens. Good evening, Martin. How are we?
Marvellous. The weather here is pretty similar to what it was when I was out there. It's very hot and sticky. Looking forward to this one. I think Rich Hayden was probably one of the busiest clerk of the courses in the history of motorsport last week. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do today. That was great entertainment from Sepang, and more winners.
Indeed. And as you can see, we are at the full Grand Prix circuit. 3.388 miles, 5.451 kilometers. And the track layout was inspired by the Chinese character Shang, which is the first character in the name of the city of Shanghai, which means above or ascend. It's also hosted, it's currently hosted up until the present moment, Chinese Grand Prix. Obviously, with the current pandemic, it had to be cancelled. The 4 hours of Shanghai with the FIA World Endurance Championship, the Blancpain GT Series Asia, amongst others. The race lap record held by none other than the formidable Michael Schumacher, a 1 minute 32.238 back with Ferrari in the F2004, one of the most dominant cars of modern Formula One history. So as you can see, we are just this and 2 more rounds away from crowning our Touring Car eSeries champion. And our champion will take an OBP Esports pedal set. The runner-up will receive a P1X chassis from SimLab. Third will get you an SQ shifter from Fanatec with a Thurstmaster T-LCM for 4th place and a £100 Ebuyer voucher for 5th. We also have 2 fantastic iconic circuits, Martin, on the schedule. We have Mount Panorama next week as our penultimate round, and then to finish things off in true Americana style fashion, we head to Texas to the circuits of the Americas. What a great couple of circuits more that we've got to go and visit, eh?
It's been a magnificent pick of circuits. Thoroughly enjoyed myself, and this is another cracking Tilke circuit. He does like his long straights and twisty bits, but I think we're into some interesting technical issues. I hope they got the gearbox ratios right for this, because that back straight off turn 13 into 14 is huge. I think it's one of the longest straights in in motorsport. So
yeah, I think it's not too far behind the Bud International Circuit in India when it hosted the Indian Grand Prix just for a couple of seasons. But let's have a look at the results from last time out. So qualifying, we had Max Bird, Konstantin Kletzer and Callum Newsham, the newcomer who jumped in place of Chris Smiley last time out. We ran out the top three. And we'd have Max Bird taking his first win, having been close to it at Brands Hatch in the first race. Callum Newsham took second and Andy Mellors rounded out the top three. And then Max Coates took his third victory of the season ahead of MSL Motorsport Consultancy's Alex Toth-Jones. And here's Harry Omerod joined them on the podium last time out. But then it has changed the standings once again. Because according to this, I think it's changed since I last saw it, or Senna Proctor is showing up in the top of the standings ahead of Dave Marshall. Well, I'm just seeing if that was the correct one, because I've had a look at the standings from my side of things. Apparently, we're going to have a double check on the standings, but it has been so interesting with some drivers having pretty much the whole family with them in the car, or there have been those that have had no ballast. Max Coates showed that you can rock up, come into quali, do 2 laps, and then fire home a couple of wins in the process. Brands Hatch. Senna Proctor, did exactly the same. Pole position, 2 fastest laps during the races, 2 victories. And then at Snetterton, we had the triple. We had Luke Whitehead from LWR Racing doing exactly the same thing. But in some respects, Martin, coming to Sepang and Shanghai, it has been, last time out in Malaysia was a very, very different story altogether, wasn't it?
Yeah, I expected the heavier cars not to be so affected because of the longer straights and the chance, the width of the circuit to take a different line. But they did struggle, but they did have a great race in the middle of the pack. So that's I think we're going to see the same here. It is a tilt circuit. I don't think the protests have helped the positions of the standings. It's speaking to Rich, he's been very busy with that after the last race.
Well, I think that means that he hasn't been able to practice as much as he would like. Obviously, dealing with clients at Virtual Reality Racing Club, which is the official website, and then also having to deal with all these protests. It's been one of those things where he's probably thought, I've bitten off a bit more than I can chew here.
Yeah. That was an interesting graphic which we just saw of the circuit there with the what looked like villas or little hotels, and each of the Formula One teams get one of those to use for their hospitality over the weekend. Fantastic facility.
Right, well, looks like we're going to be getting underway with qualifying very, very shortly, but we'll be right back in just a moment's time before 20 minutes of qualification here at the Shanghai International Circuit for round 8 and races 1 and 2 of this respective circuit. We'll be back in just a moment's time. Right, qualifying now underway here at Shanghai for round 8 of the season. And there is Max Bird, who is, according to the standings that I had printed off, but I think they might be very much redundant. I'm not too sure. But No, that's fine. So coming into this, we'll talk. I'll talk about the championship pretty briefly. Dave Marshall has got the whole family on board again. He's leading the standings by just 2 points on 436, and VRR Sim Racing Team teammate Jack McIntyre is just a couple of points behind. Santa Proctor, who went in to Sepang, is now third, and he's on 416 points, 18 behind McIntyre. Luke Whitehead now goes ahead, is actually level on Alex Toth Jones on terms of points, 411. But based on the count back of the results, Martin, Luke got 72 back at Sepang, and Alex only managed 60. So that puts Luke ahead. Mikko Raskinen, Rob Butler, who's replaced by Scott Thorne this evening, is ahead of Max Coates, Isaac Smith, and Kenny Press. Now, all of them will have ballast, but then I think we could have a few surprises, namely one Mr. Rich Hayden, who had a very fast Audi back at Monza, and we know that the Audi RS3 is a quick car in a straight line.
Yeah, it's well suited to circuit. It just depends on how much time Rich has had to get into the swing of things. But yeah, he does sandbag.
And then he says, "Oh yeah, what was it?" He went one particular track. I can't remember which one. I'm sure that Rich will remind me. That he said, "Yeah, I've done 105 laps and I'm still 1.6 seconds off the pace." Initial times are coming in. Local air temperature is pretty much the same as what we had last time at Sepang. 15 degrees Celsius air temperature, 17 degrees Celsius track temperature. But at the moment, Max Bird is leading the way in terms of the setting the initial banker laps. He's put in a 2-minute 18.549. Andy Mellors, Dave Marshall, Rich Hayden, and Jack McIntyre ran at the top 5. But the lap times at the moment, as we've got just over 16 minutes to go of the session, are not fully respective of how up to speed the drivers are, because they'll have got themselves settled in, get themselves into a rhythm. They'll have to adjust brake bias, camber, that kind, the minimal amount of adjustments that they're able to make, especially when they have, like Dave Marshall currently has at the moment, 150 kilograms of ballast. And even though last time out at Sepang, Martin, we saw that some drivers will struggle, but some shined even with the ballast. I think Dave Marshall, he's been so consistent that he's kept himself in the fight all the way through this year. And irrespective of whether I'm just looking at his results so far. The worst round that he had was at round 4, and that was at Barcelona. And he's been consistent. So the first round of the season, everyone went in with no ballast. So he had 102 points, 60 in round 2, 69 in round 3. Round 4 was the worst score. And then he's got 52 for Brands Hatch, 58 for Snetterton, and 52 again for Sepang. And it isn't always about getting those victories in your pocket. It's all about having that consistency and making sure that you set yourself a realistic target and you go for it. And if you exceed it, then it feels ever the more sweeter. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think this is going to be a mid-pack race again for the championship. I think we're going to see some of the low ballast guys disappear, particularly race 2. I'm just looking forward to seeing if anybody has the wherewithal here to go out early, put a stonking lap in, rather than waiting. I think that would be kind of what I've been encouraging them to do, because the tyre degradation is going to be quite high, if I remember rightly here. The surface is fairly abrasive, so I just got to get on with it.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, especially the case when they're going into particular corners. The rundown to turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's quite a significant amount of scrubbing that the tyres will go through. The sidewalls will be compromised, as we are now on board with Santa Proctor. And at the moment, we have Max Bird leading the way with a 2 minutes 11.557, and we've got Callum Newsham back for another round in the 16. He's 0.7 of a second behind, and we've got Brennan, Andy Mellors, Rich Hayden now only 1.5 seconds behind Max Bird. So the Audi's starting to really stretch its legs around the circuit here, Martin, and I think if Rich gets a podium, first thing you're going to be asking him is saying, so, how much practice have you actually done, Rich? Come on, be truthful. Or is it just the fact that an Audi's got a bit of sandbag ability in it?
Oh, I just enjoy teasing him. It's quite good fun. And he is a wily old fox, so he knows it. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's no Kimi Räikkönen, is Rich Hayden, but he definitely can provide us with plenty of entertainment. He has taken this season a race win and a third amongst the amounts of people. And so far, with 12 minutes and 43 still to go on the clock in qualifying, Dave Marshall has won. Ryan Elliott, who actually withdrew later on the season, has won a race. Jack McIntyre, Chris Smiley, Rich Hayden, Isaac Smith. Senna Proctor became our first two-time winner. Max Coates took 2 wins. Then so did Luke Whitehead. Max Bird took a win, and then Max Coates became our first 3-time winner. So that's helped Max in terms of getting himself up into 8th place. But let's not forget that from this, he has also had 2 zeros because of the fact he's had other commitments, such as racing in the Mini Challenge UK, which is back up and running, and obviously he's a driver development coach for Team Brit, whose motto is believe and achieve. And he's been helping with their Brit car efforts. They're running in 2 different classes with the likes of Andy Tucker, Bobby Trundley, Luke Pound, Aaron Morgan, amongst other people. So good to see that Max is able to help such an inspirational team to move forward. 11.5 minutes still to go. We now have, I think it looks like James West, Gamer Muscle, isn't with us this evening either. But Senna Proctor is down in 13th position. Dave Marshall is just under 1/10 of a second off. And again, I keep on asking this question to Rich every single time, Martin. And the answer never changes. He said just the way that this ballast is helping the championship to work out is making the sim racers really, really having to work hard for those prizes. Absolutely.
A stonking lap that from Max Bird, I must say. That was very impressive. And Hughes and Brennan, they're on it. They're seriously on it, because you look back in the pack, you can see the cut-off point where the first of the family cars are coming in.
Yeah, it's just a normal good old family hatchback with a bit of a wing and some big rims on it, you know. Yeah, we decided to lower it. It's a factory fit. Yeah, don't know if it'd be covered under your warranty though. I digress. But yeah, looking at the top 10, separated by 2.660 seconds, with John Cole in the 302 at the bottom bit. Again, another one of the things that has really impressed me, that you see that some drivers decide to go for one individual car, and even though it's the sole Peugeot out of the entire field, Kenny Press this season, Martin, has really, really impressed me. He has. His best. Now, he was also on course for a podium earlier on this campaign, and he was, I think, unceremoniously taken out is probably the understatement of the year if he looked at it from his perspective, because I'm sure that there would be a few choice words instead of that. But it was a case that he was going for P3. He had an opportunity, and his best round so far was at Brands Hatch GP. Could have had some more results at Snetterton, but even so, to still be the only Peugeot in a car that hasn't really been able to compete with the rest of them, he's done a bit of a Fernando Alonso, hasn't he? He's driven the car past its technical and mechanical capabilities.
Yeah, he's driven very well, and I must admit, some of the things he's had to put up with, it put a new meaning, or the other meaning, to introduce the other meaning for coarse into it, because the way he was dealt with was quite coarse. Some of the, I must admit, some of the racing in the last Sepang race was that was hilarious. Talk about getting the elbows out, had everything out.
Yeah, and also how many people could end up flying through the air, the greatest of ease when being assisted. But yeah, at the moment, Max Bird seems to still be leading qualifying pretty convincingly here. I've seen some improvements though. Alex Doth Jones up to 8th. John Cole and Corby Leakins, 11th and 12th respectively. Andy Derrick is 17th in the number 13 Volkswagen Golf. Looks like we've got no Konstantin Kletzer with us either this evening in the 43. So a lot. I mean, even though we're still going to have around about 17 cars here, the way that this field normally can get tightly packed, Martin, is rather interesting. And obviously track limits are going to be one thing that these drivers are going to really have to watch their P's and Q's on.
Yeah, it's another wide track, long straights, twisty bits. Great graphics, by the way. That's just shows you how phenomenal the place gives you a good idea of how phenomenal the place is. Who's this?
This is Kenny Press.
Kenny Press, yeah. Good line. Again, it's important to get those lines right into those fast straights.
Yeah. So
I think come the race, turn 1, 2, 3, and 4 is where the carnage is going to be. The start finish line, and let's see if we can hold on to this and go through the corners I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Here's turn 1.
Yeah. So
you see how tight it gets about there, and it's coming back into turn 2, and then there's another real severe twist into 3. That's my designated place, but these guys can have fun anywhere. So that's I think where the trouble's going to be.
I mean, especially with the downhill ascent that you've got through from turns 2 and turns 3, because it's not exactly flat level as Kenny Press now makes his way through. I think that was just turn 6 that he's just negotiated, and will go into the left at 7. But I think one of the other corners that I'm gonna point out here is if you get it wrong, and your name was Antonio Giovinazzi back when it was Sauber rather than Alfa Romeo. I remember when Giovinazzi came a bit too hot out of the corner, ran wide, it was slightly slick, touched the curbs, put the throttle down, rear wheel spooled up, bang, straight into the barriers, and it happened twice on the same weekend. So I think that's another area that could, there's multiple ones.
That's turn 16. He did that. He dropped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Onto the main start-finish straight. But then look at turns 11, 12, and 13. Another one that is very, very similar. It's like the reverse of turns 2, 3, and 4. So you've got so many different permutations of if you go into that too hot. What about here?
It's a very, very important section, that turn 11. Turn 12, turn 13.
Yeah.
Turn 13, you get the exit speed there, right, and the long straight there. It's a long way, and these cars will be bouncing off the rev limiter on that back straight all the way down to turn 14, which we're looking at now, I think.
Yep, says Corby Leakins still sitting down in 12th position. However, Callum Newsham has now got to as close as he can to within about just over half a second off of Max Bird. Then Brennan, the 31, is in 3rd position, 0.928 off of our provisional pole sitter. Mikko Raskinen, 1.223 seconds off the pace in 4th, ahead of Andy Mellors, with Rich Hayden rounding out the top 6. Luke Whitehead, Alex Toth-Jones, Harry Omerod and Dave Marshall complete the top 10. Kenny Press just outside by about 2 1,000ths of a second in qualification. Corby Leakins, Jack McIntyre all the way down in 13th and 14th respectively. There is Scott Thorne in the 49, who is replacing Rob Butler, who's not been able to make it this evening. Scott Thorne, as a result of being a stand-in, will get an automatic 60 kilos of ballast onto that Honda Civic. And then we've got we've got Scott Thorne in 16th position and Andy Derrick rounding out. Now, I see one name at the bottom of the timesheets. Max Coates, what are you doing? Are you joining the party, or are you going to leave it until the dead last moment? Because when laps are around 2 minutes and 11 seconds at the very, very fastest, as shown by Max Bird, I think Max Coates is actually out on the circuit, Martin, and I'm wondering where he is at the moment, if our broadcasters can pick that up. Max Coates, I think he's got a chance of doing a pretty good time, isn't he?
Well, Well, my initial statement was that I'd like to see somebody go out there early and get it done. But Max probably isn't listening to me, and he's gone the other way. He'll go out last and try and nail one, but it's always a risk. Right,
Speaking of the devil, and he doth appear. Now, Max Coates going on his first hot lap. Into the right at 1, then it tightens incredibly.
He's leaning on that. He is leaning on that. He is going for it.
He is, because you could see the right rear wheel sort of flick up a little bit and then stop rotating. And then as he released the brakes, as he comes very wide. That's
track limits.
Yeah, that was. I think he went a bit too hot into 2, which compromised him into 3, and then ran wide on the exit. Going through turn 3 and into turn 4. His outlap was a 3 minute 56, so at least he'd be able to register a lap time. We'll see how he gets on through the remainder of this lap. He'll be going through the left at 7 and into the right at 8, as Rich Hayden is just up ahead of the 71 Honda Civic.
Yeah, and then it'll be. It doesn't. I think he might have backed out of this. It doesn't look like he's. No, he's not. He's not pushing on this one. Might just have enough time to get round.
Yep.
Should get another flyer in if he lets everything cool down.
Well, in the meantime, Andy Derrick has just gone and completed the top 10 on a 2 minute 13.893, and that was with around just under 2 minutes remaining on the clock. So yeah, I think if Max Coates, as he's now coming out of turn 13, you can see the slight banking around about a 20-degree angle to the right. They now come down this incredibly long back straight, hitting the rev limiter through every single gear before the sharp braking zone for turn number 14. And you can just see how hard Max Coates is pushing, as now he's going to get himself up to speed. He's going to use the run by getting into the slipstream of Rich Hayden now, as they will head towards the left at turn 16. I think Rich Hayden's just dived into the pits, which is the case. Max Coates runs as wide as is pretty much allowed, and he was...
Right, here we go. This should be his hot lap.
So...
timed it perfectly.
I think so. And Max Bird is on provisional pole at the minute to 2 minutes 11.557. But now let's see if Max Coates gets it gets it right this time through into turn 3. That's a tighter in road coming to the second part of it.
See how the descent there, the sort of the form of the land there, really upsets the cars. They don't like going fast left, fast right, all of a sudden downhill.
Yeah. So now he's going to head through the through turn 5 into the right at 6, hefty on the anchors, nicely taken on the apex there, and through into the left-hand sweeper at 7 before he'll then have to have a sudden quick change of direction through 8. And you can just see he's using as much of the track as possible. We've now gone to 0 on the session. So Derek is 9th at the end of it all, it looks like, but Max Coates really, really pushing now. He's going to start making his way towards turns 11, 12 and 13.
He's going to pick up a bit of traffic here.
That looks like Senna Proctor just up ahead, I believe, who quickly gets out of the way. Nice spatial awareness there from Senna Proctor in the number 18. Now out of turn 13 comes Max Coates. Puts the power down.
And look at the length of this straight. It's ridiculous.
This is one of those straights, like say, where the kids are in the back of the car going, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" sort of situation. Now he's going to go over to go towards the right of the circuit. Yeah, that is this is basic turns 14. And then into 15, a short blast up to the left at 16 before he will go across the line. It looks like a lot of people have decided to call it a day. Max Coates will be the last one across the line into the apex at turn 16. Now, let's see what his time is. It looks to be a better improvement because there was no problems, and he does... well, that was a smooth lap, but it wasn't as smooth as it could have been had he gone out earlier. But then we've got Andy Mellors, and I think that might be... Just wondering, that might be Jack McIntyre, still both out on the circuit at the minute. So Max Coates qualifies in 17th position. As these two, who are VRRC teammates, might just want to watch their P's and Q's as John Cole goes through turn 16 for the final time. And John Cole qualifying in 12th. Looks like Andy Mellors and Jack McIntyre, I think, have just decided to enter the pits. Andy Derrick in the number 13 Volkswagen. As we've got Scott Thorne actually goes ahead of Max Coates, but not by much. And that, I think, is the end of qualifying. So Max Bird takes pole position for the first of two races here at Sepang. So good job by him.
Well done, Max Bird, again.
Very, very much the case. So hopefully we'll try and get a word with him in just a few moments' time. So I will head down and speak to him right now and have a chat with him about his pole lap. So I'll be back in just a moment. Well done, Max Bird. Congratulations on a fantastic pole position by just over half a second here at Shanghai. It's not the easiest of circuits here. I mean, had the Honda feel going down the long straightaways between turn 16 and turn 1, and then you got 13 to 14 as well. It does put a bit of a stress on the engine, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the long straights, but also the long corners. Like, for example, turn 1's quite a difficult corner to get right. Obviously, you sort of gentle on the power throughout to obviously keep the car settled through the corner. Otherwise, if not, it sort of creates understeer and you obviously slur through the corner. But no, overall, I think the track's actually quite nice to drive. But yeah, I think it was quite a good lap, to be honest.
Now, since you made your arrival in the VRRC Touring Car eSeries, you have made somewhat of a good impact, I must say. You know, you took a win at Sepang last time out on race 1. You took a podium at Brands Hatch when it was the Battle of the Maxes with you and Mr. Coates. How are you looking? How are you sort of feeling mentally coming into this race here at Shanghai? Because we've got two to have here tonight. Obviously, with a reverse grid top 10 for race 2, and then 2 more rounds to go. How are you feeling coming into it here at Shanghai?
After that, I'm feeling confident, but obviously Callum's only a half second off, so you know he could be more consistent in the race. So it might actually be a good race between us, but we'll see. And yeah, I think it'll be a good reverse grid as well.
Cool. Well, all the very best of luck for this evening. Go get him, Max, and we'll see how you get on.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
So, Martin, a very confidently sounding Max Bird there, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, he nailed it. He's done his homework again, which is fantastic. He's a good driver. I've always been impressed by his pace and the way he conducts himself. And yeah, he's taken to this like a duck to water, so to speak. Brilliant, good lad.
Indeed, but I think you know, it's very much a case that we've talked about this circuit quite a bit. We know that it's going to be a challenge for everyone. As for those at home, you can see the Jiading gallery there. For one of the things that's always interests me about Shanghai, Martin, is that sometimes you'll see like some of the main grandstands filled up to the brim, and then you'll see some of them not filled up at all, and they'll have like posters or Chinese Mandarin or Cantonese characters on there for the relevant stands. Quite interesting how big this facility really is.
Well, it can take 200,000 people, and it just depends if 200,000 people are told to go. So I love it. If you do get a chance, and in a world free of this CV19 thing, it's well worth a look. And the city's fascinating.
Indeed, very much the case. So
that grandstand on the right on race day is just bonkers. They are very enthusiastic here.
I think that's always been the case. You know, like say for instance the Japanese, they are incredibly They're incredibly polite, incredibly respectful, but then you put them in a grandstand and they go absolutely nuts. And the same can be said of the Chinese. They love their motorsport over there big time. But they have a lot of respect for the drivers, and sort of with them being the modern day gladiators as opposed to what
it was. Yeah, it was. It's built. I think 2003 they started, 2004, and it's when China was starting to open up, and they wanted to woo the West and show them that the dark days had maybe disappeared. And this was a real signature for the world to see what they could do. And yep, they did it very well. It's funny that the grandstands, you've got two types of grandstands. You've got the covered ones, and then you've got the ones out in the wilderness, which you'd need a big brolly there because it gets really quite uncomfortable. There are the chalets again. Oh right, look out! Here we go.
Well, it looks like we've got about a couple of minutes still to go before we get our first of two races. It will be a standardised grid. Okay, well, I've just been told otherwise. Less than 30 seconds. So
here we go.
Let's find out what happens here in the 8th round of the VRRC Touring Car E-Series. Race 1 about to get underway. Max Bird on pole. Callum Newsham alongside in the Hyundai. The lights start to ignite, and when they go out, we are now racing here in Shanghai. The run down to turn 1 begins. The old Murray Walkerism there comes in, as always. But it's all for themselves coming into turn number 1 as Newsham looks to go towards the inside of Max Bird but can't get through. And then
don't blink.
I'm not blinking because I'm looking at the Audi in 3rd place, and that is not Rich Hayden. That is Brennan in the 31, who's really closed up with these people in front of them. Mellors in 4th, Raskinen, Hayden. Toth Jones has got up into 7th place, Senna Proctor, Kenny Press, Jack McIntyre's just been passed by here's Harry for 10th place, Harry Omerod. Toth Jones now drops behind Rich Hayden as now Max Bird trying to hang on for the lead as they now make their way towards into the left-hander at turn 7. This is incredibly close, but Bird looks to be pulling away ever so slightly from Callum Newsham. But good to see that Brennan is keeping in striking distance. Andy Mellors not that far behind Mikko Raskinen, a little bit further adrift in 5th place. And it is Hayden, Toth Jones, Proctor, Press, Omerod, McIntyre. Leakins now gets past Max Coates, who jumped all the way up to 12th on the initial getaway. Scott Thorne 14th, John Cole 15th. Dave Marshall, the current championship leader, down in 16th position. Andy Derrick and Luke Whitehead, I think, might have had a problem. Not too sure if he's had an issue because he's still showing in the pit, so might not have been able to join the session.
Oh, that's...
Right, okay, just been informed by our broadcast director. Big thank you to Mike Yao, saying that there was a major crash on the start-finish straight, and Luke Whitehead's evening hasn't really started off that well, as now we have Brennan in the 31 trying to close and going towards the outside of Newsham, through into turn number 14, trying to get the cutback through into 15. The Audi looking really racy, and especially when this driver only has 60 kilos of ballast. And then you look at I'm looking at what Callum Newsham has. Callum Newsham really doesn't have any ballast whatsoever, but look at how close Brennan is in the tow. It's now Gobby Leakins closing on Max Coates for the battle for P12. And again, the Audi towards the outside of turn 1, trying to get the switch back through into turn 2, keeping it planted around the outside. Oh my goodness, this is getting incredibly close, and up the inside towards turn number 3. But then the run to the left at 4, Newsham has the advantage. Brennan keeping the Callum Newsham incredibly honest in the number 16, as Scott Thorne looks to have got past Max Coates for P12. John Cole past Gobby Leakins once again, this time for P14. But Brennan is absolutely recalcitrant and is trying to go up the inside. Is he going to get the run on Newsham this time? That might be the case, but they're going to go into turn 7 once more, and Newsham will have the inside run. Brennan slots in behind the Hyundai. Oh, this is a fantastic clean squabble between 2nd and 3rd place. Newsham versus Brennan. And wow, that's Jordan Brennan who's in that Audi.
Look what it's... look what it's allowed Max Bird to do. He's now almost 2 seconds up the road because these guys are squabbling.
But it's not just that, it's also allowed Andy Mellors to close it up in on them.
Absolutely.
As we go on board the back windscreen of the Hyundai i30N of Callum Newsham. Just behind is Jordan Brennan. Then it's Andy Mellors, Mikko Raskinen rounding out the top 5 a little bit further back in the Volkswagen Golf. And I've just seen the glimpse of a VRRC Audi as Rich Hayden is only 0.8 of a second behind the number 26. So 4 minutes in, 16 to go plus an additional lap. The lead now around about 1.9 seconds between the driver that we're with at the moment in second and Max Bird. Brendan again looking towards mistake from Max Bird coming out of turn number 14. He just ran wide. I think he might have just locked up going into the corner.
Yeah,
so the gap now.
He must have outbraked himself there.
Yeah, I think the gap now, well, that is well over halved. So this lead is not going to be 1.8 seconds as the fastest lap of the race goes to Andy Mellors in P4. 2 minute 13.090, and he is 0.7 off of Jordan Brennan, who again has been keeping pace. And I'm looking at the times between Newsham and Brennan. Newsham last time around did a personal best of a 2 minute 13.196, and that was nearly a little bit of contact between the pair of them. Brennan did a 2 minute 13.417, but the Audi looks even more planted in the twisty stuff, in the corners. And the Hyundai seems to get that little bit of an advantage, Martin, coming down the straights. But then in the twisty stuff, the Audi just really picks up, and the car just sort of like surges forward, doesn't it?
It's great to see another manufacturer in the middle of it, right at the front. That's a lovely car, that Audi.
So, lead now, just under 0.7 of a second between first and second position, nearly half a second back to third. Well, as you can see on the timing screens on your left-hand side of those watching at home, 14 minutes 20 still to go, plus an additional lap. So Luke Whitehead not taking any further participation after the start line race incident. Andy Mellors again, fastest lap of anybody, 2 minute 13.090. As now we go on board with Jordan Brennan in the 31 Audi. And
there just seems to be scrap all over the place in little pockets.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much the case. But now you're going to see that Brennan gets the run on Newsham. They come down this long straightaway, and the Audi just keeps on gaining and gaining and gaining. And this is going to be turn 14 again. This seems to be Jordan Brennan's favourite little bit of what he likes to do here. There's nearly a little bit of contact there between the two. And that allows Newsham to get ahead as Senna Proctor going towards the outside of Kenny Press through turn 14. Nicely picked up there by the broadcast director. Harry Omarov not too far behind the battling Peugeot and Hyundai. They now will make their way through turn 16. They're battling through for 8th position as both Press and Omarov run a bit wide off of the curbs. But Brennan again through turn 2 is getting closer and closer. He's just, I think what he's doing is, nice move up the inside for turn 1 by Senna Proctor on Kenny Press there for 8th position. But
that was a lovely move.
That was textbook from Senna. Nicely nailed there. As run wide there from Callum Newsham coming out of turn number 4. That will allow once again Jordan Brennan to close up. And the fastest lap of the race now at 2 minute 11.997 by the current leader, Max Bird, who has got a 2.3 second advantage over the trio that are battling behind, with Jordan Brennan keeping the pressure on to Callum Newsham, and Newsham could have really not done with a an Ingolstadt red Audi right up his tailpipes, but thanks to Jordan Brennan, he's got one there, front, rear and centre.
He'll be exhausted after this. It's hard work, and he's driving a perfect blocking race here. His lines are good, controlling it well. It's going to take one of those dives that we're not unfamiliar with.
Right, we've just noticed that Alex Toth-Jones has pitted, so that could be a bit of a difficult race to come back from. So, but in the meantime, this second place battle is brilliant. But then we've also got Rich Hayden closing on Mikko Raskinen for 5th place as they're now going to head down towards turn 14.
And that's a good overtaking opportunity for Rich. Oh, they're locking up. Oh, he's thrown it up the inside. Let's see if he comes out the other side.
Well, Kenny Press is trying to go up the inside of Senna Proctor into the very same corner. I think Rich looked to might have maybe straight lined it a little bit there, if I'm completely honest. But then Kenny Press gets the run on Senna Proctor coming out of turn 15. Now the run to turn 16, where Senna Proctor will have the inside line. He comes across the left-hand side of towards the right-hand side of the track to make sure there's enough room for him to get through. But also Kenny Press gives him racing room. Good battle, and that is actually over 7th position, because of course Alex Toth-Jones was running in the top 10 a little bit earlier on in this race. He's now pitted, as Harry Omerod now also goes up the inside of Kenny Press, and very shortly I think Jack McIntyre will go through too if Press keeps opening the door, but he doesn't, trying to go into turn number 3. But the battle for second position still raging on, and it is less than 0.6 of a second between Newsham, Brennan and Mellors, as they are now going through what is effectively turn number 6. They'll go into the left-hand sweeper at 7 very shortly, as this little squabble here between Proctor, Omerod, Press and McIntyre. Press back up the inside of McIntyre, nicely done by the Peugeot through turn 6, but then all of a sudden McIntyre, he gets the absolute perfect traction coming out of the corner and goes around the outside of the Peugeot, heading into turn number 7. Some great battles here. This is, I think, by far, this has been, if not the cleanest, most competitive race we have had all season. These drivers have got to know each other's driving styles throughout the course of the 7 rounds and 14 races so far, as we're on to race number 15 of the season, and we are halfway through the race, Martin. It's been an absolute belter so far, hasn't it?
It is. You've got championship races going all over the place. I feel for Alex. He was having a good run there. Something must have happened, but I'm sure we'll hear about it. And this, look at this. They're at it all the time.
Yes, indeed.
Mellors is squabbling.
Mellors is trying to do his utmost to try and get up into the podium. I'm just going to have a look at the podiums so far this season. That's effectively. I'm just looking at Andy Mellors, and he's had 1 podium, and that was at Sepang. That was at Sepang last time out on race number 1. As again, Brennan gets past Newsham ever so slightly, but then runs wide coming through turn 2. Oh, that nearly allowed Andy Mellors to cheekily nip up the inside through into turn 3, then into the left at 4. Oh, Brennan's going for it. Oh, he's giving Newsham a little bit of rubbing from behind, but then Mellors is right there, as they're now going to head down through out of 4 into the right-hand kink at turn 5, then through into the tight right-hander at 6. As Laramie again to the outside, trying to effect the cutback, trying to give himself enough room to get the power out of the corner. But Newsham is still defending, and defending mightily well, I might add, as we go into the last 8 minutes plus an additional lap. This is what you want, Martin. This is what you want in touring cars. Just clean, hard, fair racing. And they have given each other the biggest amount of respect all the way through this race so far, when we went lights out just over 12 minutes ago.
Yeah, and from a sponsor point of view, to see the MSL car out there and right in the middle of it and getting prime time is fantastic. Because when the leader's doing well when you're not watching him. These guys are having a great squabble, and it's good to see that they're keeping it clean for now. But I'm not holding my breath.
Yes, I'm of the same opinion here, so I'm not going to. I'm going to count my chickens before they hatch, really, in that sort of respect. So.
Absolutely. Another MSL car. Oh, that's good. And, here's Harry.
Yeah, and Senna's thinking, oh dear. Bless him. But yeah, it's been great battling all the way through as Omerod goes towards the outside. This is going to be the run down to turn 14, if I'm very much mistaken. Proctor looks to go towards the right-hand side. He's going to try and outbrake the 7th place Hyundai and get up the inside. Neatly done And there is Jack McIntyre and Kenny Press as the three still squabbling over second position. Callum Newsham, Jordan Brennan and Andy Mellors still at it. A pack of cats scrapping over a little bird that's just been left there on the sidewalk. But, I mean, great battling all the way. Oh, Harry Omerod pulls out of the slipstream of Senna Proctor, going towards turn number 1, but can't even make it around the outside. He's now opened the door for Jack McIntyre, who's going to try and go through in the Honda Civic. But then for the next corner, as McIntyre done enough, he's going to try and force the issue. Omerod back up the inside. McIntyre to the right. Kenny Press now has a little bit of an opening here to try and get out of turn number 4. Peugeot can't get the run on the Honda, but McIntyre still manages to keep 9th place for the moment, but could have had a chance at 8th place at Harry Omerod there.
Oh, he's certainly a character. He does light up the evening, that's for sure.
Yeah, very, very much the case. So still plenty of this race left to go. We've got just over a quarter of it remaining. As now Max Bird at the moment has a whopping 5.6 second lead over our second place driver, Callum Newsham, Jordan Brennan, Andy Mellors, Rich Hayden. So still, this is so nip and tuck between Proctor, Omerod, McIntyre and Press. Max Coates has managed to get himself up into 11th position, as now we hit 5 minutes on the clock remaining here at the first race at the Shanghai International Circuit.
Yeah, I've just hot off the press. Well, I'll dive out when these guys come into shot with a squabble. Alex had a clutch calibration issue, rolled about an inch. It was judged to be a jump start, and sadly he was DQ'd.
Oh, that's a real shame. That is a real shame, but these things do happen. As Senna Proctor again, all over the back bumper of Harry Omerod, as Max Bird sets the fastest lap of the race, 2 minute 11.843. As McIntyre trying to go up the inside of Proctor, coming out of the exit of turn 14 and 15. Proctor was trying to go around towards the outside of Omerod, but it sort of compromised him there. And Hyundai didn't get the run out of the corner, but they look to be a little bit more racy coming out of turn 16, down the main straightaway, across the start-finish line they go. So, still, Max Coates puts in a personal best of 2 minute 13.987, a best from Kobe Leakins, the Sol Astra, 2 minute 14. Oh, big lock up there through turn 1. I think that might have been Senna Proctor as Jack McIntyre closing on the back bumper of and there's a little bit of nudging between them.
There's a bit of love going on there. Oh dear.
And these two are battling for the championship standings. Proctor currently in 3rd place, McIntyre in 2nd, but Dave Marshall, who hasn't really factored into the top 10 at all because he's got the maximum ballast. Oh, what a send by Kenny Press. He does a Daniel Ricciardo, but goes completely off the circuit, I believe. He did not get through on that, and he's ran completely wide. As Proctor had the better of him, taken by Jack McIntyre, who now gets 8th position as a result of Kenny Press's, Daniel Ricciardo impersonation going into that corner, and he just completely, I think he could have ended up in the stratosphere, but probably ended up in the kitty litter. But
I've got a large screen here. I still can't see him. So.
he went into the corner that quickly. Both of us went, right, we can't see this guy. But great battle here for Jordan Brennan and Andy Mellors in the dying stages of the race. 2 minutes and 37 seconds to go. Mellors getting the inside run. This is going to be for turn 14, so the Honda will now go up into 3rd position. So it is a Honda leading, a Hyundai in 2nd, now another Honda in 3rd, thanks to Andy Mellors' efforts up the inside of Jordan Brennan, who is in 4th place. But then look behind, Rich Hayden in the other Audi in the number 50 from VRRC, rounding out the top 5. As Kobe Leakins trying to go defensive on Dave Marshall, goes towards the inside run going into turn 14 early. Then Marshall is still a few car lengths behind and not able to close. And then Kenny Press is just behind in rounding out the top 14 positions. Andy Derrick and Scott Thorne rounding out the 16 runners and riders that are still with us. As effectively, I think this, I'm just wondering when our leader did actually start when the leader actually crossed the finish line. As Max Coates trying to close on Senna Proctor. This is the battle for the 9th place on the road. So Max Coates, having started pretty much towards the back end of the field, has 90 seconds plus an additional lap to get past Senna Proctor.
Yeah, Max Coates isn't sneakily catching up with them.
Well, he has been a bit like the silent Yorkshire Honda assassin, hasn't he, in this race? And if he keeps in 10th position, he gets reverse grid pole, doesn't he? I think.
Well, I don't
No.
think he's thinking about that now because
And
he's certainly trying.
I think he's wanting to get one up on Senna. That's the biggest thing he wants to do. Minutes to go plus a lap. And I'm just interested in seeing where Max Bird is at the moment, because if he hasn't crossed the start-finish line yet, depending on the location of his car at the minute, we'll find out very, 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 very soon. And there is Max Bird. So he's now going down towards turns 14 and 15, as Coates still trying to force the issue with Senna Proctor. Oh, and he jinks towards the left-hand side. So Max Coates possibly powering past, and he does. That's a great move on Senna Proctor from Max Coates there to go up into 9th position. So effectively, I think that Max Bird might run out of time to have a penultimate lap. So this will be the penultimate lap, depending on how quickly he negotiates turn 14 and turn 15. So it is quite a substantial circuit, 3.388 miles, 5.451 kilometres. As now the timer has expired. Oh, so we got this and another lap to go. So thank you, Mike Yao, our broadcast director, to tell me that Max Bird crossed it with the line with 2 seconds on the clock remaining. If that was in karting, that would have been final lap. That was a bit of a run wide by both Max Coates and Senna Proctor. Those tyres, I think, are pretty much at the moment, Martin, falling off the proverbial cliff as we speak.
Yeah, they're tired. I think the drivers will be tired after that race too. That's for sure. Good entertainment. Nice drive from Max Bird.
Yeah, there's Kenny Press still trying to close in on Dave Marshall, which by my assumptive calculations, the way that things are at the moment, Senna Proctor is down in 10th place and will close up on the top 2, but it looks like that Jack McIntyre will be taking the provisional standings lead at the halfway point of this 8th round of the season. But Kenny Press still is looking to keep Dave Marshall fighting all the way, and the ballast will not change between the first and second races. When the drivers are allocated that, depending on the championship standings, they will receive that, and that will be for the entire evening. So Dave Marshall will have another mountain to climb, again with the 150 kilos on board, but he's still, even with that amount of weight on the car, he's still able to keep Kenny Press at bay here, Martin.
He's a great driver. I do enjoy his attitude and his the way he likes to race.
So, yeah, this is getting interesting. I think if Kenny Press wants to get past the championship leader, he's got to make sure he keeps it nice and clean. There's now Max Coates trying to close on Jack McIntyre. Now this is where it's really going to get interesting, because they're now going down the back straightaway, all the way down towards turn number 14. Senna Proctor a little bit further back in the distance. Max Coates now will have to put on the anchors very, very quickly in order to get past, and he nicely gets past McIntyre well and truly cleanly. Kenny Press trying to go towards the outside and powers past Dave Marshall before they've even hit turn 14. Marshall decides to use discretion as the better part of valor, but try and get the switch back through turns 14 and 15. Nearly side by side go the pair. We are on to the final lap as Kenny Press will go up the inside, or will he go? Dave Marshall goes round to the outside but then runs wide. That allows Kenny Press to get the run of momentum out of the corner. But Max Bird, at the meantime, as these two are side by side heading into turn 1, Press to the outside, will power round. Will he actually control it and manage to get it done? He does. Oh my goodness me. Kenny Press does a great move around the outside of turn 1 on Dave Marshall. Okay, considering the fact, as we've now had Andy Derrick on into the pits in the Volkswagen Golf, that's a real shame for him. But the final lap, there is still battles happening as Senna Proctor now battling away with John Cole and Colby Leakins for the final spot in the top 10. Oh, they've got about another 8 corners to go, and Senna Proctor has really been fighting to try and keep them at bay.
And this is a battle for pole, so
yep.
it's well worth sticking your elbows out here.
Definitely the case, because that'll help Senna Proctor no end. Excuse me, my apologies there. It's all this heat getting to us all. You know, it's all muggy and everything in these commentary boxes, wouldn't you say, Martin? But Senna Proctor doing a great job. But here is Max Bird, 14th corner, now into the right at 15. And then, short blast down, as John Cole trying to battle away with Senna Proctor, as is Colby Leakins. Leakins trying to get past the Honda Civic, but round the final corner, what a dominant display. Pole position and the victory for Max Bird here at the first race at Sepang. Sorry, not Sepang, Shanghai. I got myself all carried away there.
Get in there, Max. Get in there, Max.
But
excellent.
We have to wait very, very shortly. Callum Newsham takes second. And Andy Mellors rounds out the top 3 as Senna Proctor goes up the inside.
No,
that looks a bit messy, and he's lost out on 10th position with just 2 corners to go as Senna Proctor. But oh my goodness, that means that John Cole, I think if Colby Leakins isn't able to mount a counter-offensive coming through the final corner, which he isn't, John Cole will end up on 10th position, putting him effectively on reverse grid pole. If memory serves me correctly, Senna Proctor takes 12th place at the end of it all. Oh my goodness, but Max Bird wins here at the first race at Shanghai, ahead of Callum Newsham, and then Andy Mellors taking his second podium in 3 races.
Yeah, he's
a third at Sepang, and there's Andy Derrick coming around. That was a bit of a wide line there, Andy, coming out of the final corner. But Max Bird wins ahead of Callum Newsham. Andy Mellors takes P3. Jordan Brennan, Rich Hayden make it 2 Audis in the top 5. Mikko Raskinen, Harry Omerod round out the top 7 positions. But Max Coates would end up 8th at the end of it all, ahead of Jack McIntyre, who I understand, provisionally speaking, will take the lead in the standings. John Cole was ahead, took 10th place ahead of Colby Leakins and Senna Proctor, who must be absolutely kicking himself after that late break opportunity that I think he sort of went a bit too hot on, going through into turn 14, finishing in 12th. Kenny Press in 13th, Dave Marshall in 14th, Scott Thorne, Andy Derrick, and Alex Toth-Jones rounding at the 17 strong. Unfortunately, Luke Whitehead did not take part in the first race itself. I'm wondering if we are going to be able to have a chat with our top 3 drivers momentarily. But what a race. What a race there, Martin.
Yeah, great race. Entertainment all the way through, and one of our cleanest, I think. So quite pleased with that. Well done to Newsham there. That's another great drive, new to the series in the MSL car. Really enjoying that. Senna Proctor was unlucky, and Alex Toth-Jones had that DQ. So mixed bag for MSL.
Definitely. We'll see what happens in race 2. So, all right. So I'm now going to head down to the interview booth and speak to our top 3 here at the first race at Shanghai. Well, congratulations, Max Bird. Pole position and now a race victory here at race 1 at Shanghai. That was, I want to talk about one particular moment, and I know you know exactly which one I'm talking about here. The moment where you went into turn 14 and then there was a massive moment. Now, was it out braking or did you just lose the car?
Yeah, I was struggling there quite a lot, to be honest. I don't know whether it's because of the high speed coming into there and then obviously braking. I was trying to sort of brake where I wasn't qualifying for the first few times past there, and obviously I made a bit of a mistake twice in the row there. But yeah, apart from that, I think it was a pretty solid race.
So at the moment, you have this is your second victory in 3 races. You've got a 3rd place podium back at Snetterton, and you took a 2nd at Brands Hatch. Feelings ahead of race 2?
try and keep it on the track, and yeah, just make as many positions as I can, really.
Well done, Max. Congratulations on the victory here tonight. And next up, we'll speak with Callum Newsham, our second place driver. Callum, a great battle, I think, all the way through the majority of the race between yourself, Jordan Brennan, Andy Mellors. And I think it was one of the most cleanest exchanges I think I've seen in the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries so far. Just from your perspective, how much hard work was it behind the wheel of that Hyundai?
Yeah, Jordan was putting me under a bit of pressure most of that race there. But yeah, we keep it clean because we're best mates, so yeah, that's the way to do it.
And obviously the Audi does have some pretty good form around here. It seems to be one of the more one of the cars that can really, that if you get it right through the braking zones and you power out of the corners correctly, it can really help move it forward.
Yeah, I think it does have quite a bit more top end than most of the cars. So yeah, it was hard keeping him behind me. But I think when Mellors got past him, it just gave me that break that I needed to edge away.
So a bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel. Well done, Callum, and all the very best of luck for race 2, which will be getting underway in just a couple of moments' time. Right, last but by no means least, let's speak to Andy Mellors. Andy, another third place finish. Congratulations. That was a great battle between the three of you all the way through, and I think Rich Hayden was closing in the dying stages, if memory serves me correctly too.
Yeah, really great race. To say for most of us, the first laps we've turned on this track were tonight. Had a really good battle with Jordan Brennan and Newsham in the first bit, but obviously Callum started to pull away.
Yeah, so thoughts ahead of race 2. Obviously, it's not been an easy season for a lot of people, yourself notwithstanding. But it always seems to spice up things in race 2, which, as we found out in Sepang last time out. So, your thoughts ahead of it?
Yeah, as long as you can stay out of the rough and tumble, coming from the back's quite good fun when you've got no ballast and you've got pace. So, hopefully, I don't have a little moment on lap 1 like I did last week and push to the front again.
Well, Andy, well done in your third place position, and all the very best of luck for this evening for race number 2.
Yeah.
Right, well, we've got a couple of minutes to go until our second and final race 16 of the season here at the Shanghai International Circuit. And before we go back racing, we'll be back in just a moment's time.
And here we go. We're back race 2, and I think this is going to be an interesting one again.
Yeah, very, very much the case. Sorry, just had to get some liquid refreshment just then.
Yeah, you need to hydrate. Hydrate now.
Okay, the lights are about to start to ignite on the gantry for race 2. 20 minutes here at Shanghai. When all 6 go out, we will be racing once again. And it looks like we've got Andy Derrick and Scott Thorne on the front row. We're off and away here at Shanghai. And it is going to be very interesting heading down to turn 1 for the first time, nearly 3 abreast, 4 abreast at points, as everyone trying to surge their way through into turn 1. As Dave Marshall manages to get past Andy Derrick and up the inside of Scott Thorne, goes Senna Proctor through turn 2. Kenny Press in his sole remaining Peugeot. Oh, dramas for Rich Hayden Oh, looks like he must have had a bit of a punt out there from somebody else. But now, just keep your eyes on Dave Marshall. Now, I'm looking to see where Jack McIntyre is in all of this. He's 8th at the moment. So, from the respective of now here comes Kenny Press up the inside of Scott Thorne, through into turn 6, makes the move, can't get through, but Andy Derrick sweeping his way through into the left-hander at turn 7. But with the fact that you cannot count out Dave Marshall, considering he was the champion of the recent Mini Challenge UK eSeries. In the sim racing side of things.
Oh, there's carnage in the background there.
Oh no! Oh dear! Right, okay.
And it looks like Alex Toff Jones in the MSL car again.
Oh, both MSL cars. So both Toff Jones and Newsham. Oh my goodness me! That's not going to. Oh, and more. There's more argy bargy. Here's Harry gets a. Hello, it's Jack from behind. Oh my goodness! McIntyre right into the back bumper of Harry Omerod. I think the clerk of the course and the stewards are going to be very, very busy after this one. Andy Derrick in the Volkswagen Golf trying to keep away from Dave Marshall and Senna Proctor, who complete the top 3. Kenny Press in 4th place, 1.4 seconds. As I saw that Scott Thorne was having to fend off John Cole as Cole was going towards the outside of the corner. As Max Coates and Max Bird, the battle of the Maxes returns here at Shanghai, and they've run on the back bumper of Jordan Brennan and then Kobe Leakins in the Alfa Romeo Giulietta, rounding out the top 10 at the moment. Max Coates gets past Max Bird as John Cole comes around the final corner. And then the fastest lap of the race has been set by the number 13 of Andy Derrick, who's still leading, but by only 0.8 of a second. McIntyre trying to close up on Thorne for 7th position. Raskinen not too far behind. This has gotten even more fast-paced than the first race earlier. A bit of a lock-up from McIntyre, but he sends it up the inside of Thorne to try and take 7th position. He's got past the other Honda, and Raskinen tries to thread the eye through the needle. Can't get past. Brennan runs right through turn 3. And that allows Newsham to get past Toth Jones down in 16th behind Max Coates, with Rich Hayden rounding out the 17. We're still racing, but 3 minutes in, and again, Martin, the reverse grid race throws the cat amongst the touring car pigeons.
Yeah, our MSL media guru Phil Thompson will not be happy with that. That's not what we want to see.
I was going to say, has he been tarred and is he spitting feathers at the moment after that one? I'm sure he probably is.
I think he'll be having a little attack of the frustration ball. It's just that's not good. And we didn't even see it. I don't mind accidents if they're on media.
Yeah, because then at least you'd see the whole story as everyone's swarming all over each other. Looks like Newsham's up into 12th. He's got past Jordan Brennan. Now trying to go up the inside. Kobe Leakins nearly loses it there in the Alfa Romeo as Alex Toth Jones gets around the outside. Oh, and gets turned around by the Alfa Romeo.
Oh, this is messy. These reverse grids are great.
they're great for one reason. They're great for our entertainment here in the virtual commentary box, but other people, they are having kittens round about now. 15 minutes and 50 to go. And one of the things that I have been mentioning and I've been bleating on about is, John Cole goes rally crossing up the inside of Kenny Press to take P4. I think that was a bit of a cheeky shortcut there. I'm sorry, John, even though you might have a bright chrome green Honda Civic, it doesn't quite match the grass here at Shanghai. So that was he did a Matthias Ekstrom there going up for P4. He's not in a camouflage car. I don't think he's going to get away with that one. No, I think that's it's just definitely one of those things where you can't really see what's going on. Max Bird up the inside of Scott Thorne into turn 1 for P9. Nicely done there, and Callum Newsham also on the comeback trail. And I'm just looking at I'm sort of like thinking that between there, that's a move and a half. If you get that done, Callum Newsham, around the outside coming through turn 4, he's going to try and get the run. Can't get through, or is he?
I think he's got it.
He's got it. He's got it coming through turn 5. We'll get it on the braking going into turn 6, and then up the inside of.
He's in the right place, right time. Perfect.
Yeah, and then Andy Mellors. Yeah, Andy Mellors, and also now Jordan Brennan trying to get past the Honda Civic of Scott Thorne. Thorne not having the greatest amount of luck out there at the minute, but nevertheless, he's still fighting tooth and nail with everyone else on the circuit.
And Marshall is hanging on. He's. I thought we might have seen him struggle a little bit here, but no, the top three have made a little bit of a break from Cole.
Yeah, to the tune of just over 1.8 seconds. Proctor just under 4 tenths off of Marshall, who in turn is just under 7 tenths off of Andy Derrick, who is currently leading. But the squabble in the midfield as Laskinen gets passed by Max Bird for 8th place. Jack McIntyre is now about 6 tenths of a second up the road from the Honda. And Cobby Leakins has dropped all the way down to the back part of the field, 5.6 seconds off of Rich Hayden. But then here's Senna Proctor trying to close in on Dave Marshall. Oh, that was close. If he'd braked any later, he would have gone straight into the back end of Marshall and spat the 66 out of turn number 14 there. But I think
there's time. There's time for that.
There is time for that, but then there is also plenty of time to make sure that you respect your competition. And obviously,
they're all going wide.
Well, I wonder how many incident points you get for a track limits excursion like that. Fastest lap of the race, Jordan Brennan in the number 31 Audi, currently running in 12th position, a 2-minute 13.176. Proctor closing on the back bumper of Dave Marshall for second position on the road as they come through the left at turn 4. That's a great move if you can get the power out of the corner. But then Marshall will have the run coming through into the right-hand kink at turn 5. Proctor to the outside, Marshall to the inside. Marshall gets the run ahead of the Hyundai.
And it's allowing Derek to pull a little bit of a gap there, a bit of a comfort gap. A lot of this race to go, though.
Yep, just under 12.5 minutes still remaining. And Senna Proctor still keeping Dave Marshall under pressure. These are two of the championship protagonists, with the third of them currently in 8th place, and that is Jack McIntyre. Jordan Brennan is about 2 seconds ahead of Scott Thorne, and that is the battle for 12th position as Proctor towards the inside of that corner. And then Marshall counters. Senna back on the counter offensive. They are nearly tangled on that particular occasion. Callum Newsham trying to go towards the inside of Kenny Press for P7 and gets the position on the Peugeot. They come out of the corner. Oh, that's brilliant recovery.
No, that's
Proctor up the inside of Marshall. Marshall quickly counter-attacks. Goes towards the outside of the Hyundai. It's nip and tuck between these two. Proctor will try not to open the door here, and that will be coming through into turn 13. Marshall trying to get the run out of the corner and get the momentum, get the toe on Senna Proctor, and he is now closing. Look how quickly the Honda is closing on the Hyundai. He's going to go towards the inside, through into turn number 16. But Proctor just through the fact that he has 20 kilos left, and this is turn 14 they're going to head to, my apologies there, into turn 14. Marshall goes towards the outside, trying to get the cutback. Will take the tighter apex through turn 14, get the run out of 15, and he's pulling alongside Senna Proctor, who will have the inside run coming into turn 16. Marshall gives him just about enough racing room as they come out of the final corner. Now that as Andy Derrick again sets the fastest lap, 2-minute 12.9 flat here at Shanghai, as Marshall again closes up on the braking zone and tries to go towards the outside, has to lock up the brakes going through the entrance and into the apex of turn number 1. But still, this is a brilliant battle. Again, another clean exchange. We saw that between 2nd, 3rd and 4th, between Newsham, Brennan and Mellors, and now we're seeing it between Senna Proctor and Dave Marshall. John Cole was 1.8 seconds behind. He is now closing by an absolute rate of knots. Max Coates trying to close on Scott Thorne for 12th position, and just up ahead will be Mikko Raskinen in the Volkswagen Golf.
It's going to be interesting if to see if Senna can now reduce the gap to Derek, because Derek's just he's disappeared off whilst those two were squabbling, and Senna's pulling a bit of a gap now. He's extending it. Dave Marshall is carrying a lot of weight, but he's not going to be far off this.
I think one of the things that's going to help Dave on these corners, there's other corners like say turn 14, turn 13, where you're able to carry the momentum through, it's going to help him. But then on the straight line speeds, Okay, 150 kilos is not what you want, but then it's going to compromise you on the straight line speed as Jordan Brennan gets past Mikko Raskinen and Jack McIntyre, who is for what is 9th position on the road. Brennan's done a really good race, but McIntyre, I think, is now struggling because effectively Senna Prox is going to get closer in terms of the championship fight, but Dave Marshall loses out of position to John Cole as they head down towards turn 14. Harry Omerod and Max Bird. Max Bird has absolutely shot up the order and is trying to go for a double victory.
Oh, look out. Here we go.
And he's got past Harry. He's got past Harry, gives him the little tap from behind, I think, or that might have been such a slight lag spike there. But now Marshall still trying to keep in touching distance, figuratively, not literally speaking, on John Cole, as now he goes towards the outside line, as now he knows that Max Bird will pass him and lets him through. I think he had no other alternative, as Max Bird now sets the fastest lap of the race with a 2:12.4. Harry Omerod now rounding out the top 6 positions, but has Callum Newsham just behind him in the other Hyundai i30N. So, but this has been absolutely stellar. This evening has really been the development of the last 7 weeks here, Martin. The last 15 races so far is up the inside of Omerod, goes Marshall, and then comes Newsham and nearly goes into the side of Marshall on that particular occasion. But the way that these drivers have developed over the last 15 and a bit races, we're now into race 16 of the season, has been nothing short of incredible development from not just the sim races, but also from the real life races as well.
Well, the sim races had a little bit of dominance, and now the real, I hate that word, real world, the actual, the guys that can afford a budget to go racing, they're absolutely, they've had to raise the game, because the sim racers, they are talented lads.
Oh,
that's
back
a
from
messy
behind
one.
Callum Newsham. John Cole gets hit off.
Oh,
Now, that was from Max Bird.
Max Bird.
So Max Bird was on the course for possibly having a double victory, and he's just he's thrown that right to the wolves there, having collected John Cole as they were battling for position. They were battling for third, and this has really changed everything because it's allowed now Dave Marshall to possibly have an opportunity at sticking at third place, as Callum Newsham now trying to get past Andy Mellors. He's ahead on the minute.
I think this series and the sim racing is the there we go, they're squabbling again. Oh, that's not good. It's one of the greatest equalizers I've ever seen. It's just gives everybody the same equipment virtually, and it's a bit of talent. The ballast is causing havoc here. I think things are going off. They're all over the place.
Yeah, it's all elbows out. It's all kicking off. Max Bird now outside of the top 10. He's now down into 12th position. As Dave Marshall threading the eye of the needle up the inside of Harry Omerod, makes the move through, but gets the run coming out of turn number 3. And then Andy Mellors not too far behind. Here's Harry. This is now nicknamed. I'm sure that he probably has his friends sort of giving him a little bit of stick over that. Here's Harry. Well, that's exactly what happened. Well, here's Callum is what happened last lap around when Callum accidentally went into the back of him. But Omerod now trying to keep Mellors at bay through into turn 6. Takes the tighter line. Mellors gets the run out of the corner. That was a good run there by Andy Mellors. If he can keep it around the outside. They come into contact, and that sends Mellors off into the stratosphere onto the exit of turn number 7. So Andy Mellors, P3 in the first race, gets a dose of here's Harry going through into turn number 7. Oh my goodness me. I think, as we were both saying, Martin, the first race was a pretty good one. The second one, I think, is going to have a few incident reports thrown at the clerk of the course and the race director when it's all said and done, as we've got 5 minutes on the clock still to go. Max Coates rounds out the top 8. But there's been some great battles. There have been some untoward mistakes, wouldn't you agree?
Mistakes. Mistakes. I've tried to use that throughout my life, and that wasn't anything to do with that. That was just great fun.
I just think I think the terminology maybe a few more faux pas definitely were not being missed this time around.
Yeah, here's Harry. We need to get some sponsorship on that car from somewhere.
It's got to be a sponsor that begins with the letter H.
Oh yeah.
Have the alliteration there.
It's the H bomb. It's just brilliant.
Perfectly timed there, Mr. Jones, I must admit. But great move up the inside of Harry Omerod there by Callum Newsham to take 4th position as Dave Marshall still holding on to 3rd place. 4 minutes to go plus an additional lap. And at the moment, Andy Derrick, I don't think I've ever seen... every time he's been racing with us, he's not been in the lead, as Callum Newsham now trying to put the pressure on to Dave Marshall for effectively... And look who's back in his rearview mirror. Jordan Brennan in the Audi. As they come out of turn 4, nearly side by side, they go into the right-hand kink, as Marshall will have the inside run going into turn number 6. Or will he? Or will Newsham be able to get around the outside? No, Newsham gets a bit wide. That's a very good bit of astute driving there from Dave Marshall, as he literally manages to slice across the front of Callum Newsham going through the exit of turn 6. And it was like he was trying to do one of those, was it Russ Swift parallel parks, but he just made it with enough gap to spare. So nice and cleanly done there. Jordan Brennan now in 5th position, chasing these two down as through into the next corner. Dave Marshall goes defensive. Callum Newsham looking to go towards the inside. It's through 9 and 10. They've gone. Marshall hanging on. Newsham behind. Brennan just in the toes. They head down towards turn number 11. And Marshall still has got the inside run.
He's just centred up the inside. That's brilliant. Great move.
That was Mikko Raskinen there going up the inside of Harry Omerod for 6th position. Now coming out of turn number 13. A great run there by Callum Newsham towards the inside of the corner, going side by side with Dave Marshall. But Marshall knows that he's got just a couple more moments to hang on to keep himself at the top of the standings, provisionally speaking. But Brennan has other ideas. Run into the toe of the Hyundai goes the Audi into turn number 14.
Yeah, Newsom's got the line.
He's got the line, but it's dependent on who gets to run out of the corner. Marshall, as Raskinen runs wide, Omerod goes through. Coates goes through. Mellors is through. As now up the inside of Brennan goes Marshall. Marshall was well within his rights to do that move because there was enough room for him to get through. As now they are side by side for what is 4th position, but getting the run, getting the advantage in the Audi down into turn 1, sweeps up the inside, but then gets a bit messy going through into turn number 1 there, and that allows Marshall to close up.
I don't think there's a straight panel on Brennan's car by the look of it.
There's more dented pixels, Martin, on there than you and I probably combined have had hot dinners.
Yeah, they've been pixelating, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a pixelation here, a pixelation there, as Marshall now fending off Harry Omerod for 5th place. And there is Jack McIntyre, who now is actually ahead of... Well, the thing is, Omerod's actually dropped down the order, as Jordan Brennan has got past Dave Marshall. Max Coates up into 6th, Andy Mellors up into 7th. And we're on board with Jack McIntyre, who came into this 2 points behind Dave Marshall. And looks to be the case that Marshall might still have an advantage going into the penultimate round of the season. And we head to Bathurst next week at Mount Panorama. 44 seconds on the clock remaining. Coates really sensing an opportunity to get past Dave Marshall here for 5th position. Marshall is just concentrating, I think, more than anything here, Martin, damage limitation in terms of the championship, because I've got a distinct feeling, and I'm sure that you'll agree with me on this, that this championship will go down to the wire. So Mellors sneaks up the inside of Marshall to go through for P6, and so he's got the run coming through turn 13. But yeah, I think this championship, Martin, is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, definitely. The last race at one of my favourite tracks in the world, COTA, is this is going to be right down to the wire. What Marshall doesn't want to do now is drop unnecessary points through. Oh no! Look out! That didn't look good.
Oh my goodness!
That's
exactly
what I was talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about, because Max Coates and Andy Mellors had a little bit of contact, And then Mellors came back onto the racing line and inadvertently hit his VRRC teammate and current points leader Dave Marshall. So Marshall now gets a little bit of a get out of jail free card, as we should be on the penultimate lap here. So at the moment, Andy Derrick, who has been leading, has had a bit of a moment. His lead was 7.3 seconds. It's now gone down to 2.6 is all. Mellors up the inside of Marshall through turn 3.
Senna Proctor was chasing him down there fairly hard, so it must have been a big moment there for Derek.
Yeah, because he's been keeping it nice and calm and composed all the way through the race, even setting fastest laps, and started from reverse grid pole, so it gave him the perfect opportunity to become a different winner. But with the way things are going at the moment, I sense that there could be something different very, very soon. But at the moment, Derek leads from Proctor, Newsham, Brennan, Coates, Mellors, Marshall, McIntyre, Raskinen, Hayden up into 10th place, Omerod, Alex Toth-Jones in 12th, Scott Thorne, Max Bird, Bobby Leakins and Kenny Press. See, John Cole, after the incident a bit earlier on, has decided to pit, and I think that was probably through the damage that he sustained earlier on. But Andy Derrick now coming through the final few parts of the circuit here. And there is Senna Proctor, not too far behind, 2.5 seconds adrift. Andy Mellors trying to battle with Max Coates for 5th place. So now turn 13 sees Andy Derrick make the exit in the number 13 Volkswagen Golf. And then Callum Newsham is now closing on Senna Proctor. There's now Andy Mellors and Max Coates having a slipstream fest coming out of turn number 13. Mellors to the inside, Coates to the outside. And I've just noticed that Andy Mellors has just flashed the lights whilst being side by side with Max Coates heading down into turn 14. And a little bit of concept there as McIntyre and Marshall battling away. These are the two protagonists at the top of the order. This is going to allow Senna Proctor to close, as this time the checkered flag waves and Andy Derrick takes the win. Another new victor. Senna Proctor doesn't take the victory. It would have made him the second three-time winner. Callum Newsham takes 3rd. Jordan Brennan 4th, Max Coates 5th, Andy Mellors in 6th. Jack McIntyre manages to finish ahead by a mere fraction in front of Dave Marshall. Mikko Raskinen and Rich Hayden round out the top 10. Harry Omerod drops to 11th position ahead of Alex Toth-Jones. Max Bird was on for a potential of 2 victories this evening, but ended up having to settle for 13th place. Scott Thorne in 14th, Bobby Leakins in 15th, and Kenny Press rounds out the 16 that completed the race, and unfortunately John Cole retiring due to accident damage. But, well, Andy Derrick takes the win. Never thought he'd be hearing me say that. I'm sure he'll have a look and he'll go, I want to race, I want to race. Yeah, well, you nearly dropped it.
Well, you can ask him the question.
I'm going to say, were you... I will be doing that very, very shortly. But just your thoughts after that race, Martin. And again, another great race. I mean, you know, we've seen race 2s that have gone absolutely to the walls, but this was a bit more reserved, if I'm completely honest.
I think this is the tidiest race we've had. All relatively well behaved, and yeah, great fun. Championships, are the championships coming into it, or is the championship coming into it? What are they thinking? I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, I'm going to head down to the interview booth and talk to our top 3. Well, first things first, Andy Derrick, our latest race winner in the virtual reality racing touring car eSeries. Andy, I've got to ask the question. When you had, I noticed that the lead between yourself and Senna was around about 7.3 seconds, and then it instantly dropped. What was you, were you panicking, sort of thinking, I've got to get back on the circuit, I've got to keep ahead of Senna, I want to take a race win. I don't want him to have 3 to his credit this year.
Yeah, I cooked the tyres basically, and yeah, had a crazy moment on turn 1 on the last lap.
Well, but you are a race winner this in this campaign. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's great to get the win. I do feel a little fortunate with no ballast and
obviously the reverse grid helped me massively from the first race where I got caught up where somebody obviously didn't get to start their engine on the grid, race one, which put me slap bang at the end. So I feel a little fortunate to, as I say, to get pole for the second race.
Well done, Andy. Congratulations. And will we see you back at Bathurst for next week? Because it's nice to have you with us as well.
Thank you very much. Yes, you will see me. I don't think you'll be seeing me here on the podium, though. I cannot stand Bathurst.
Well, at least you're being completely honest about that one, I must admit. But congratulations, Andy Derrick, our race 2 winner here at Shanghai. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, we will head to our second place driver, Senna Proctor. Good to have you back on the podium, Senna. Little bit of a hiatus. Obviously, I know you've been busy. You and Chris have been busy getting back to real life action with both Donington Park and Brands Hatch Grand Prix over the last 2 seasons with the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship at Accelerates. But again, another podium for you, mate. How do you feel?
Yeah, great. You know, there was a lot of battling going on behind me. So yes, we were very fortunate with all of that. And we had a bit of a mill up in the first race. So really, it was about passing Dave Marshall cleanly, and just trying to really just hold my nerve, look after my tyres, and just keep putting in the laps, because I saw them catching behind, and with the 130 kilos of ballast, it was very hard. But like I say, kept my head and kept pumping them laps in.
And obviously, you know, we go into the final 2 rounds, both the Mount Panorama and Circuit of the Americas. It's going to be a tight one, I think. Both myself and Martin Jones have agreed that it's going to go down to the wire, and I know for a fact that we're going to see an absolutely brilliant fight from yourself to try and get there and win it at the end of it all. But just the calibre of the field that we've got, these 2 races have, I think myself and Martin in agreement, have been the cleanest 2 races that we've had all season. What are your thoughts on how it's been for yourself in the VRRC Touring Car eSeries?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I've absolutely loved it. You know, I've really enjoyed the challenge. It's the first official sim racing that I've done, and you know, I'm not going down without a fight. You know, I'll hopefully be there until the end, and I'll make sure I get some practice in now. I've got a little bit of time off from the real life racing, and see if we can come out strong at Bathurst, and you know, just really try and keep this momentum rolling, and just keep plugging away, keep getting them points, and not trying to do anything too silly.
Well done, Senna. Congratulations on another podium, and we'll see you in a week's time at Mount Panorama.
Thank you very much. You will. Thank you.
Okay, last but by no means least, Callum Newsham making it 2 cars from MSL Motorsport Consultancy in the top 3. So that's a pretty good evening to have Callum. A second in race 1 and a third in race 2, whilst everyone else was tripping all over each other. I think we saw the incident with John Cole and a few others. I think you got a bang from behind thanks to Harry Omerod, but it wasn't easy out there, was it?
No. Well, I was dead last at the start, so you know, it's gone through third. I can't remember what happened. There was so much going, so to come away with a third after that, yeah, it was pretty good.
And obviously, you know, I need to ask one particular question. Obviously, you're using the car that Chris has been using for the majority of the season. Given the chance to join the grid again, would you jump at the chance?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because then hopefully I wouldn't have any ballast on, so it would make it a little bit easier as well.
That's very, very true. Well, Callum Newsham, many congratulations. The only person, I think, yeah, I'm just going to have a quick look on my handwritten notes. You're the only person this evening that has scored 2 podiums on both, a podium on each race. So well done, congratulations, and hopefully we have you back on the grid very, very soon again.
Thank you.
Well, Martin, good to hear from our top 3 there. And it's been, again, another spectacular evening here at the VRRC. I think we might have to jump down into the Discord chat and have a good chinwag with our good friend, Mr. Rich Hayden. Well, actually, speaking of which, good evening, Rich. How are we?
Good evening.
Rich,
how am I?
I wasn't. You actually said that question before I'd even thought about asking, and I went, you know what? I'm not going to do it this time.
Well,
yeah.
I was.
Thanks,
Well,
Martin. Well, you guys obviously saw in race 2. I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
who collected me my rear bumper at T1, but for sure I'll be looking at the replay. Really enjoyed race 1, I have to say. Had a really good one. Was looking forward to coming back through the pack with obviously a lot less ballast than the guys. Managed to come up quite a few places, but yeah, oh my god, if I had no luck at all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, now that we've completed 16 races, we have 4 to go over the next 2 weeks. So we have Mount Panorama and we have Circuit of the Americas. Again, more changes, but I think it's been really nice to have these 2 trips to Asia, to Malaysia for Sepang last time out in Shanghai. How have the drivers, been in terms of feedback, reference the decisions on the tracks that were made for the VRRC Touring Car eSeries? Because if I'm completely honest, Rich, the different types of circuits that we've had have really, along with the ballast situation as well, have really made all the difference. And it's provided myself and Martin with plenty to talk about over the past 8 weeks so far.
Yeah, I tried to pick quite a variation in tracks, and I made the decision not to pick the tracks I liked. It's really made a massive a difference to the performance of the guys at the front. It's really brought them back into the mere mortals, shall I say, and it's made it some really exciting racing.
Yeah, I've loved it, Rich. It's been a great idea. The ballast thing is it's cruel, but it's kind. It's kind to the spectators. It just keeps everything interesting and collected. You've chosen some great circuits, by the way. Bathurst is next, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. These cars are going to be quite interesting around Bathurst. But, I've got, in one ear, I've got people that are watching it saying it's great racing and really tight. And in the other ear, I've got all the drivers complaining to me about the ballast.
Yeah, Rich, if drivers aren't complaining, they're not trying hard enough.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
And in addition to that, you're doing exactly the right job as well, Rich. Because they start. All I'm going to say is, if anyone might remember when DTM had success ballast, the amount of vitriol and spite that was thrown to ITR was quite considerable. And then Gerhard Berger decided to get rid of it. But 150 kilos of ballast for the leader of the championship, and it doesn't switch between races. It switches between race evenings. So I think, hand on heart, Rich, you've done a standout job with getting it to be as difficult as it is to set up something like this, but then to have the people that are on board with regards to different partners like MSL Motorsport Consultancy, HeatingShop.ie, Simply Race, OBP, SimLab, AlphaSync Live, and AOC. It's not easy, and I know for a fact that to run a championship, it isn't easy, but you've done a fantastic job, mate. I really must give credit where credit is due.
Oh, thank you very much, Alex. It is a hard job. There is a lot of work that goes on in the background. There's a lot of setting up. There's a lot of work on the servers. A lot of work by some of my test drivers on testing a lot of the cars for me as well. And then obviously in season. But we've got some great team. They've got a great team here as well. With this, obviously Mike doing the streaming, with Max doing a lot of the marketing, and obviously with you guys fronting it on their stream as well. So it's a big team effort. Everybody does a great job.
You certainly do, and much appreciated from MSL Motorsport Consultants. The series is fantastic, as was the Mini. So loving your work, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Rich Hayden, the man behind Virtual Reality Racing Club. If you want to find out about more services that Virtual Reality Racing Club do provide, head to virtualrealityracingclub.com. You can see the URL on the top of your screen there. So, Martin, final thoughts before we head to Australia next week. It's been a long weekend. I've had a very, very hard weekend, but to come back to this, and then to now see that the title is going to be decided right to the very wire. Not next week, but I think we're going to go to Circuit of the Americas and we're going to have one hell of a grandstand finale, wouldn't you agree?
Totally agree, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And as I said to Rich, it's been a fantastic season, and it's not over yet.
Yeah. So join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, Martin Jones from MSL Motorsport Consultancy next week, next Tuesday evening, from around about 6:20 British summertime, as we head to the mountain that Brocky built, Mount Panorama in Bathurst in Australia, for the penultimate 2 races of the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries, brought to you in association with MSL Motorsport Consultancy and heatingshop.ie. Thank you so much for watching, and we thank the virtual setting of Shanghai International Circuit for providing us with some of the most cleanest racing that we've seen all season. But in a week's time, it all gets rough and ready at the mountain. Thanks for watching. Have a very good night and stay safe.